Three, two, one. Welcome to the Lightforge. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps, back with another Lightforge before the expansion, and this time we're going to try to keep it not as long because we've had two pretty long
We had
weeks.
the two pretty long weeks. We're having another long week next week as we finish up our new meta analysis. So we got a scare with Blizzard's blog on release on the announcement day when they're like talking about what's coming up with the expansion. They're like, yeah, so the arena's gonna be updated with all new sets, including Nax and Old Gods and GVG and Witchwood. And I'm like, whoa, what? GVG instead of MSG? Because that was going to mess up our whole analysis, and I would have to do everything again. But it turns out they fixed it in a few hours after the announcement, and so it is still MSG. We are getting MSG. We are not getting GVG, and so all the things we've told you about our analysis holds true. And we'll finish that up next week with the class analysis.
Yep, that was.
Um,
I know you were freaking out for a while.
Oh my god, I did not want to have to do all that again. That was a lot of work, all right? Of me lounging around at a resort in Mexico, doing Hearthstone work.
Mm-hmm.
There's no resort anymore. There's no lounging around anymore. This will be way less fun to do again. Okay. So new expansion. What's going on with the new expansion?
Well, we have a couple of cards now. We actually have a few cards, so we're going to talk about them today. Oh, we also have the title of
Oh,
the
the title of
expansion.
the
So,
expansion.
so
What
what's
what
the
is
title?
the
What's the
title?
title?
The title.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I guess I'll say the title.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
love this title. This is, I think, one of the better titles in recent memory, and it is called Rise of Shadows.
Roz.
Huh?
It's Roz. Or do you just want to
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it
ROS. It's ROS.
ROS? Okay.
It's three letters, like the good old days of GVG, right? Of BRM, of TGT, before they started screwing random things up with like Karazhan, which is like Kara or whatever, and then like Ungoro, which really got simplified. Ungoro was the worst, okay? Because Ungoro was Journey to Ungoro, which is JTU, and they kept simplifying it to Ung. Anyway,
Well, no, you just call it Ungoro.
yeah, but with the three
No one's
letter
ever called it Ung.
simplifications, they have them. They have these like these are official. These are like in the code. Anyway, we are getting
Okay.
ROS Rise of Shadows. It is very easily simplified into a acronym that is three letters, the way I like it, and I can pronounce all the words, which was really hit or miss in the last few expansions. And yeah, it's gonna be nice and simple. I don't know what the story really is. I don't think they really told us much. It's just like a bunch of bad guys get together and make a super team and try to take like Dalaran. But
Yeah, that's basically it.
that's the entire plot of this next expansion. There's nothing more going on here. Okay, I mean it's a little thin, but at this point in Hearthstone's career, like who cares? This is the setup, right? They're gonna try to make a whole story with three expansions over the course of the year. This is the setup. It doesn't have to be that interesting. Hopefully we'll get some cool cards, but it means we are getting a lot of like old cards returning. Um, and we'll not like old cards that we've seen before. I mean, we're getting that too in the arena, but I mean, we're getting like different versions, right? Like we see like a Rafam card. There's going to be a new Forbidden card. Like things are coming back. This is not like the epitome of creativity here, but hopefully it's good for balance. Um, all right, well let's dig into it. What do you think about the expansion in general? Like without going into the cards.
You know what? I think it fits mostly because people were saying how it's got like a evil Avengers theme to it. And it's coming out like around the same time that Endgame is coming out. And people are also thinking that this might be recurring theme that we see throughout the year, right? It's like this is the setup. It's like the bad guys sort of like clump together and then they go and invade Dalaran, and then it's like the heroes will come together, and then I don't know, like for the last set, it'll just be like the epic clash, right?
Mm.
So people think that this is sort of a setup, and I think you know what, it's kind of cool because there's only so many sets that you can do based on a new location, right? And it's almost kind of like, well, you expect a new location and then themes to go with that location. Whereas this is almost a tribute set, right? It's a throwback set in which you can do some cards that reflect old cards, and it's not like, people can't really accuse you of just being like, oh, it's just a copy. It's like a new place, but same card. It's like, well, yeah, but these are reform cards. These are Togwaggle cards. So obviously, there's going to be some flavor of the old in there. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's something that if you like Hearthstone and you've been following it for a long time, you'd certainly appreciate it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like MSG. I thought was probably the epitome of what they could have done story wise. That was pretty good. I think mechanically they went somewhere with it that they maybe, I don't know if they regretted it, but they certainly are not like looking to do that like that degree of things again. But it was interesting. Or you can go really far out there with something like Ungoro, right? Where it's like, this is Ungoro. Things are not going to look like this outside the Ungoro set, and in the Ungoro set, it's all very like well themed. This is less of a theme. I don't know if Dalaran has like a very like unique or whatever particular theme, but we'll see what they do with all the bad guys and their minions and whatever. So looking forward to all those cards. So far, we have I think like 10 cards, maybe like 11 cards. We really don't have that many cards, but we will go over them. And in going over them, we'll talk about where we think the direction of the set may go, how the mechanics are going to interact with stuff, and just generally where, like, it's hard to say where we want the meta to go because the meta is not like continuing off of a thing. We're not
Right.
like building off of something. We're not even doing a rotation. We have blown the whole meta up, rebuilt it from some random parts, and then we're going to add the set in. So it's hard to say like whether this will be good or bad for the meta. It's more like how are these cards like individually, right? And what direction it will push. Because we will tell you, we've told you how the neutral meta is going to look. It's going to speed up a bit on the curve side. There's going to be more healing. There's going to be probably the same amount of taunts, but they're going to be smaller taunts. Like we told you a bunch of neutral stuff. We're going to tell you all the class stuff next week. This is going to be kind of a introduction to this set. The one thing that I will say right now is we're gonna keep it even lighter on the card by card analysis than we normally do with the new sets, and really put it all at the very very end when we do our like 6 hour, 8 hour like card preview with the Lightforge tier list scores and all of that. So that will be uploaded to audio like podcast format as in Lightforge episode, just like we've been doing the last few expansions, and that's going to come out on the weekend before the expansion launches. So one more thing we have is an official expansion launch date, which is the 9th of April, which is Tuesday. And we will have, hopefully, our plan right now is to do the super long card by card review, card by card preview, including algorithm scores on April 7th, which is the Sunday before that, and to have it up on YouTube and podcast formats for you guys on April 8th. So the day before the expansion release is the day after we do it live. And hopefully, so look forward to that. Until then, we're all excited about this expansion. See something new, and let's go over the cards.
All right. Which one do you want to go through first?
Why don't you do that? I'm going to set it up. If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, we're going to start showing these cards. If you're not watching on YouTube, we will tell you exactly what these cards are doing.
Okay, I'm going to go by the pre-release order, all right? I'm going to do that, and I'll start off with the Forest's Aid. So this is, this shows off one of the new keywords that's going to be featured in the expansion.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about the keywords first. So let's do, Twin Spell, right, exactly. No, I'm saying, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Good order.
So, thank you. The Forest Aid is a rare druid spell, 8 mana. It has the keyword Twin Spell, and it says summon 5 2/2 treants. Now, Twin Spell, what it means is you can cast it once, and then it'll create another copy of it in your hand, and that's it. It doesn't keep on regenerating. So it's not Echo, because you can't use it on the same turn.
You can't use it on the same turn?
Well, no, I mean, you can't use this.
You can't use this, but it doesn't have that restriction normally. Like, that's not part of the keyword, right? Like, it will just add it to your hand. You can play it again on the same turn if you have the mana.
That's a good question. I
Yeah, I
think
think you get,
you
because
can.
it's
Yeah.
extra arms,
Yeah.
right?
It's extra arms, right? Exactly. So I'm pretty sure you can do that. You obviously just can't do it with.
Right.
Well, not obviously.
Yeah, the
Like
Forest Eight is an
you
8 mana card. If you're on the
right.
podcast and you're wondering why we think we can't cast this.
Yeah. So if you find some way to cheat this out, yeah, you can play it twice. Not that you want to even play this
And
twice because you don't even have the room. But yes, you can. So you play this 8 mana, you get split 10/10s worth of stats, and on the next turn you can play it again to get another 10/10 worth of stats, and then that's it. It's exactly like Extra Arms, in which after the second casting of it, you're done with this. So another sort of late game, it's not really a bomb, but late game stats for a druid, which has a lot of late game just like stats to begin with. And this is a huge amount of like longevity and value, right?
yeah, so
Yes, there are.
mana, summon 5/2/2 Treants.
Yeah.
That's 20 stats for 8 mana. That's
Yeah.
pretty good by itself, ignoring the fact that it then adds another 20 stats into your hand. Right?
Yeah.
This
The
is
problem is just it's slow.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
is
yeah.
very slow.
It's slow. It's an 8 mana card that has no initiative or taunt, right?
Right. And those are typically not great.
Yeah, and they have the same health, the bodies. So the same board clear will clear all of them. And it's not an uncommon thing to be able to clear.
Right. We're going to be missing Primordial Drake, but we still have Corrupted Seer.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
your neutral AoEs, and obviously depends on where they bucket it, but neutral AoEs, if you're thinking, well, there's no Primordial Drakes, it just might be replaced with something not as good as Primordial Drake, but something that can still wipe out your stuff.
Yeah. So if you're wondering how these things are going to be balanced, I think we look at Extra Arms, right? Extra Arms was 124 on the tier list, which means that it's pretty much a balanced card in the arena, right? Like the average arena card in your deck is probably a 124. So Blizzard knows pretty well how to balance it. Then you look at Forest Aid, and it is very, very clear that there is a power creep happening here compared to Extra Arms. Extra Arms was 3 mana, do something that would normally cost 1.5 mana. The Forest Aid is 8 mana, do something that would normally cost, I don't know, like 7 mana? Maybe just 8 mana.
Right? No, it would cost 8. I mean, you have like, I guess, Doppelgangster, that's a neutral.
That's 5 mana.
And you can buff it, so yeah.
Right, so but no, there's a druid card, right? The Treants. That's 5 mana, summon 3 the 4.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, for 5 mana you get that, and then you're getting 2 more 2/2. So yeah, so probably like 8 mana. Yeah. So now you've gone from Extra Arms, where you're going down by 1 to 1.5 mana to get the card again, to the Forest Aid, in which you're going down by like half a mana to get the card again. So this is a more powerful card than Extra Arms, like right off the bat. And Extra Arms was like the test card for them for this like kind of twin spell mechanic to see how it works. And they obviously concluded, at least it seems like they concluded, that they can go a little bit more powerful. So I don't think this card is like busted levels of good. Like it's not going to be a super premium card, but it's going to be like one of your best, if not like absolutely your best large card that you can pick.
Yeah, because also remember, large cards, the quality of large cards has gone down. Yeah. So no more Violent Worms, right? No more Violent Worms. So you just have like, you still have the Ettins and the Bog Creepers, but, and while those are good, like the taking away Violent Worm is a huge, huge loss for the standard like late game threat.
Yeah, and this is filling a very different need than Violet Worm. I know they both come out and do nothing, and they both spread really wide, but Violet Worm has tempo. This does not really have that much tempo. It has like okay tempo. What it does have is a lot more card advantage than Violet Worm. But you have to spend 16 mana, like overall, to get it. So it obviously has that cost as well, but it is, like, you can think of it as a card draw, right? Which is what it is, Twin Spell. I think in terms of how this mechanic is set out, I'm really excited about what they can do with the mechanic, because you've already seen Extra Arms, which functions very differently than the Forest Aid. So they've already had two very different ways of using Twin Spell. And what it does is it allows you to have certainty in the kind of card draw that you get. And that's a lot better than random, first of all, which is one way Blizzard does it. But when it comes to the arena, that's even better than drawing from your deck. Because in the arena, your deck is semi-random. You only get, you basically are discovering cards for your deck. So your deck may not have the kinds of cards that can fit your archetype or can push you to where you want to go. But these Twin Spell cards for the arena allow you to draw a very specific card that is also the exact same kind of card that you had already wanted to put into your deck. So it pushes you towards whatever the heck archetype that you were trying to go for in the first place. And that is really, really good for the arena, I think, in terms of creating a diversity of archetypes, in terms of allowing you to really put your stamp on the deck so that not all the decks look the same.
No, it's cool. It's a cool design. It's something that's very easy to understand, and it adds extra value, but not in a extremely destructive way, right? In terms of design. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is I love Twin Spell as a design philosophy, and whether you like it or not, you're gonna see a lot of them, and they seem like they're going to be very good. Because the Force 8 is very good. It's like low premium or even mid premium, I'd say. Could even be premium.
We'd have to see how the meta shakes out.
Yeah.
Because this could be sort of like too slow. It could. Or
because the meta is speeding up.
Amazing.
The meta without this expansion is speeding up. But as you'll see from the rest of the cards in this expansion is going to slow it down again a little.
Probably.
So yeah, it's hard to judge where it's going, but I think Force Aid is going to be a very good card, better than Extra Arms certainly.
Oh yeah, I think so too. It's hard to imagine this as a bad card. That's just impossible almost. The meta would have to just be completely like, oh, we have Nax GVG and that's it. Have fun with that, and then Force Aid as well.
Yeah, think about how valuable a card like a 300 rated card like Pyros is, right? And what is Pyros but Twin Spell before there was Twin Spell? It was like an attempt at doing something where you keep adding a type of card back into your hand. This is obviously not as good as Pyros, but it's the same idea of you can spend money while getting you can spend mana while getting tempo onto the board and getting the card advantage that you can spend tempo later. You can spend mana later to get the value of. So it's gonna I'm gonna just put it out there. It's gonna be better than Sprint, certainly. And Sprint is like a 133 right now, I think. So this is gonna be at least over a 133, probably significantly over 133. Could be like a 150, maybe even over a 150. It's gonna be, you know what? It's gonna be premium. I've changed my mind. It's not gonna be low premium. It's gonna be at least normal premium. Anyway, not game breaking or anything, but premium. Okay, what's the next card?
All right, I want to use this next opportunity to introduce the next mechanic. Yes. All right, so I'm gonna go to the actually really annoying one, the good one.
Not the other one?
No, not the other one. Let's go to Hagatha's Scheme. All right, Hagatha's Scheme. First of all, Hagatha is one of the villains. So, and then we have the
you may not
mechanic.
You may not know who Hagatha is because Hagatha's never been in the arena, but Hagatha is also a Death Knight.
Well, it's not a death. It's a character card, right? It's a character card. You can't just call them all Death Knights because they're not all Death Knights. They're character cards.
Okay. I mean, you're right, but they're all Death Knights to me.
Okay, great. Anyways, Hagatha's Scheme is a 5-mana rare shaman spell. And schemes are cards that upgrades every single turn that it's in your hand. Okay? So it's a slow burn, right? You slowly gather energy. This is like the spirit bomb. All right? So Hagatha's Scheme says deal 1 damage to all minions, and it upgrades each turn. So each turn that passes, suddenly it's 2 damage to all minions, 3 damage to all minions, 4 damage to all minions. There is no limit. I mean, the limit is like the game. which has been confirmed by Blizzard. And I think the game, it's like a maximum of, what was it, 60 turns or something?
There's just no limit.
There's no limit.
Don't think about like that kind of stuff if you're playing or using the card. Just it keeps going up. At a certain point, it's basically a twisting nether.
Yeah. So Hagatha Scheme, you're gonna lose to this card a lot, and you're gonna be angry about it. But you can also potentially make reads. It's like, oh, well, this person has been holding on to this for a long time. The problem is, even if you know it's Hagatha Scheme, what are you really gonna do?
Just let him get a 2-for-1 with you. Just like, put 2 cards that are decent, let him get his value. He's been, it's 5 mana for him, right? That kid normally gets him 1 good card in Assassinate, right? And let him do it twice. And be happy with it, because he's had to charge that card up for the entire game.
Yeah, so look, it's gonna be a good card. You're gonna lose to it. But yeah, it's certainly gonna be really annoying. I'm not I would say I'm not a huge fan of this card entering into the arena.
Yeah, I don't really mind this card entering into the arena because it is something that you can sort of make reads about. It's not totally unreadable, right?
No, definitely not.
It's like it's a bit worse, I think, than the Echo design for like Warpath. Obviously, Warpath is more unbalanced, but this I'm saying it's like in terms of reading, it's less easy to read Hagatha Scheme than it is Warpath. And Warpath, like the way you beat warriors these days is to figure out combinations that you can get Warpath and be okay, right? For Hagatha Scheme, if on turn 5 it already deals 5 damage to everything if you had it since the beginning of the game. So, yeah. I mean, good luck, right? Good luck making your reads on which turn the card came into the hand. You can, but I think it's worth it because it's such a big impact on the game. And it is a spell. It will have the offering bonus to the new set, assuming that's still around. And it's a class spell that's only a rare. So it's going to be the most commonly seen card in Shaman, assuming they don't put it in the top half of the first bucket. And for people who think that this is a totally busted card, this card is not as good as Warpath. I don't think. Because while you can charge it up to be better than Warpath, each time you charge it up, it's a dead card in your hand for significantly longer, and you can't top deck it. So, in order to make it better than, and it's less flexible, right? Even later on, you can like Warpath like a couple times and then do something else. You can keep things on, you can have combos with it. So, Shaman's missing all of this, and Shaman has totems, which work against this for the most part. So, I don't know. I think it's at best Warpath level, but probably not as good as a Warpath.
I could see it, because you also have to see how it plays into the game plan, right? Warpath was so good in the Warriors kit, and Hagatha Scheme, it's just not as good. Like, this sort of card is just not as good in the Shaman toolkit as Warpath is as good in the Warriors toolkit.
Yeah, for Control Warriors. I think this card is probably going to get rated higher. Like, the Lightforge tier list is going to put it higher than a Warpath. Because it's also more flexible than a Warpath in the sense of, like, Warpath is a dead card. More often than this can at least blow it up at the end, right? If you just like hold on to it long enough. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just around a Warpath. Maybe we could just say it's about.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. These cards, we've already confirmed that. I mean, I actually have a preliminary score for Hagatha Scheme already from the Lightforge tier list, and just it's not brokenly overpowered. It's still very, very good. Like it's premium. I wouldn't be surprised if Blizzard just went ahead and put it in the top half of the first bucket, or just in the first bucket, and see if everyone takes it, right? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and it is gonna warp Shaman's entire game because of how good it is. Like, it's a very good card. So we had 2 cards so far that are going to be very, very good cards, that are going to be like bucket 1 or bucket 2 cards already, and they're on the new mechanic. So you may be a little scared about the power level of this set, but those are both class cards, right? And power levels really go crazy if you make the neutrals that powerful. So we're still waiting to see what the neutrals are. But let's just say this is not shaping up to be like a downer of a set for Arena. There's gonna be some stuff you're doing.
There's going to be good stuff, but we can also talk about the next scheme card as well.
Yeah, in case you're too worried about all the schemes, did they confirm that do all classes have a scheme, or just the ones that feature like a villain?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because if it only features a villain, I think it's only 5 villains, so it's just 5 classes with schemes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we just saw Hagatha's scheme for Shaman. Now there's Togwaggle's scheme for Rogues. It is a 1 mana rare rogue spell. It says choose a minion, which means your minion or your opponent's minion. Shuffle 1 copy of it into your deck, and it upgrades each turn. So you have this in your hand turn by turn. Suddenly, after you choose a minion, you're shuffling 2 copies, 3 copies, 4 copies, 5 copies, etc., etc. And then you can shuffle like 20 copies if you so choose.
Make your entire deck this 1 minion.
This 1 minion, right?
And lose a card and pay a
bad.
mana.
Yeah. We remember Gang Up, right?
Yeah. Gang Up was not very good.
Gang Up was not that great. Now, this is cheaper than Gang Up.
To the end of when Gang Up rotated out of the arena, we would still get comments, by the way, from people that are like, Gang Up's totally an okay card. And we would be like, if by okay you mean it won't automatically lose you the game, if by okay you mean it's not a totally dead card in your hand like some cards are sometimes, but no, Gang Up is a really bad card and you should never take it.
Yeah.
Gang Up was 2 mana, shuffle 3 copies of a minion into your deck. This is just 1 mana, and you're shuffling a lot more into your deck, so it's definitely like a lot better than Gang Up.
Yep. But it really is just spend a mana, lose a card, and if you've been holding onto this a long time, dramatically improve the average of the rest of your deck. But man, if you've had this for like 7-8 turns, that's a huge opportunity cost there. Like you could have had something that actually helped you out more.
That's the something thing with the schemes. Like the premise of it is that you have to keep holding it and not playing it in order to get its value. So, I mean, it's like the Spellstones. I like it more than Spellstones because it's not a synergy card, right? That in and of itself, I think, makes it less swingy and better for the arena. But the premise behind it is really, really like painful for the arena. So when you get a payoff like Hagatha's scheme, that's good, right? You actually get the payoff. When you don't get the payoff, like Togwaggle's scheme, or the payoff you don't really care too much about, then it doesn't make it. I mean, it does make it that much better percentage-wise, but when your starting base is so low, it's never going to be a good card.
Yeah, because the payoff with Hagatha is you wait, and then immediately you get the payoff, right?
Yeah.
This, you wait, you play this, you keep on waiting, and you draw a few, and then maybe you get it. It's like maybe after like your third draw or something, you're like, haha, I got my value. After I waited and then played this and then drew 3 cards and then played those 3 cards. It's like value realized.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see what the other schemes are. These were 2 kind of extremes where double-sided board clears are always kind of ridiculous in the arena. Like, just think about every single double-sided board clear, right? And shuffle cards into your deck is always a lot less impressive in arena than in constructed. So I don't want to sell this card. Like, this card's also been valued by the algorithm already. It's not an unplayable card. You still should never pick it, but it's not like going to get like a 10. Right? This is not Gang Up anymore. This is potentially playable in the exact right deck if your other options all suck. But I'm pretty sure Blizzard's going to start this in the 7th bucket, and you'll just never see it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, even if they start off in the 6th bucket, it's just going to get moved to the 2nd bucket pretty quick, I hope. Actually, no, it won't. People will take this card for memes, and
people
will never,
will definitely
ever
take
move.
This card.
It will actually move
serious?
up.
Yeah, it'll keep up. If they put it in the 6th bucket, because people will see it, it'll move up. This is also why it's problematic, right? It's like where they put a card will actually, like, they have a... Because they put it into the player's hands, but the initial bucketing sets it into motion, right? So if they actually put this in like the 6th bucket, like the top of the 6th bucket where people can reach it, it's going to keep on going higher. If they put it into the 7th bucket where people can't reach it, it won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But this card definitely belongs in the 7th bucket, in case anyone's wondering. All right. Next, another new mechanic, if you can call it a mechanic, is Evil Miscreant.
Miscreant. This is a real word.
I mean, okay. I don't know it, but it sounds like bad. So I assume it means what it shows, bad. Which is a bad character. Evil Miscreant. 3 mana, 1/5. Combo. Add 2 random lackeys to your hand. So 3 mana, 1/5 is downright terrible. And the ability is so good that I don't think you ever like play it for its non-combo body. If you're wondering what lackeys are a set of cards that are like if you remember MSG potions, except lackeys or like spare parts, right?
Yeah.
Except unlike spare parts, which are mana equivalent to tempo. Like when you play a spare part, you don't really like gain anything too much for the tempo. In these, you do. So you're basically banking tempo with these. Each one of these cards, if they were actually a card, would be an insanely overpowered card.
Yeah.
So do you want to go through the lackeys?
Yeah, sure. And I'll start off with the one that actually doesn't give tempo. That actually doesn't give insane tempo. I'll start off with the Ethereal Lackey. It's still really good. It's a one. By the way, these are all 1 mana 1/1s. So Ethereal Lackey is Battle Cry. Discover a spell. Really good, obviously. Mm-hmm. Discovering spells is great, but this is the only one that doesn't like give a huge amount of tempo.
These would all normally cost 2 mana.
Yeah, definitely. Faceless Lackey is the next one. Battlecry, summon a random 2-cost minion. 2-cost minion is like a 1.5, 1.5-ish minion, something like that. Like 1.52 like minion, like around there.
Don't lie, it's a
1/1. Goblin Lackey has Battlecry, give a friendly minion +1 attack and rush. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. Kobold Lackey is Battlecry, deal 2 damage to the face, to a minion, whatever. Witchy Lackey, Battlecry, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. So it's an evolve.
Okay, so Witchy Lackey, by the way, Witchy Lackey has this ability. All the other ones have the ability. They're all like presumably created fairly even, and all the stuff, all the abilities would be a 1 mana card in and of itself. Like 1 mana discover a spell, 1 mana summon a random 2-cost minion, 1 mana give a target rush and +1 attack, 1 mana deal 2 damage. Which means that this thing is like a 1 mana ability, Witchy Lackey. Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. And that's pretty much just a blatant admission in this set that Master of Evolution should never have been printed. Because that's a Yeti with a 1 mana card ability attached to it. It would be the equivalent of like a Yeti having like deal 2 damage to to your opponent. And deal 2 damage being balanced on an elemental was Fireplume Elemental was a 3/3. So there are a few stats wrong on the Master of Evolution play. Anyway. I'm glad that Blizzard finally is valuing this Evolve mechanic correctly now that they brought it back. That gives me a lot of faith that the new Evolve cards that are coming in will not be like ridiculously overpowered like the ones from when was Evolve? It was Evolve Old Gods?
Yeah, Evolve was Old Gods.
Okay, so Old Gods is coming back, by the way, into the arena. So we're going to see all those cards again, and they haven't been nerfed or anything, so they're going to be unbalanced. But at least the new ones are going to be more balanced, because it seems like Blizzard actually knows how these mechanics work now. So that's good. But more importantly, let's go back to the Evil Miscreant. 3 mana, 1/5. That's 6 stats. You probably count them as 5 stats because it's like a 1 attack thing. Which means you probably need 2 more stats in order to get your tempo worth. Now, for a 1 mana card, you automatically, because it's a card, right, you automatically get about 2 stats worth, or like 1 to 2 stats worth of things on its body. If you look at something like Ravencaller, which is 3 mana, 2/1, add 2 random 1-drops into your hand, right? That's at 5 mana. That's tempo neutral. You're not actually losing tempo if you play everything out on turn 5, because of how 1 mana cards work. So each of these 1 mana cards, each of these lackeys, is the equivalent. Like, yeah, you have to pay 1 mana to get it, but it's the equivalent of having something that if you tack it onto another card would be 3 mana. So Evil Miscreant gives you the option of when to play things, but ends up reading something like 5 mana. Let's say 1/5 would normally be like a 2.5 mana if you attach it to another card. So it's 3+3 + 2.5. Well, you have a base card. So let's just 3+3 + 2. That's 8 mana. So you get 8 mana's worth of tempo and card advantage for 5 mana. Assuming you combo it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you follow my math up to this point, you will realize Evil Miscreant and probably anything that generates lackeys are insanely good in the arena. Like,
Yeah.
insanely good. If you remember Ravencaller is rated a... I'm not finding it right now. A 103. So Ravencaller is even above a 100. And this is just like a much better version of Ravencaller.
Right. I mean, you just can't play this on turn 3. Or, I mean, you can.
I mean, you can't play Ravencaller on turn 3, too. This is probably better to be played on turn 3 than Ravencaller, right? We'd rather have a 1/5 than a 2/1.
Yeah, but then you don't get the 2 things. Like, you have to combo it.
Oh, that's right. Right. Yep, you're right.
So, there's that. But yeah, I agree. I mean, lackeys are really, really good. They just are. With Ravencaller, you're hoping to get back the tempo that you initially lost because 1-drops are good tempo. With this, these are just the best 1-drops you can ever get.
These are not 1-drops, they're 2-drops.
Right. Like, if they had a score, it would just be like all of these would be super duper premium cards.
Mm-hmm. They would honestly break the game if they existed as normal neutral cards. So you have to view it as banking mana. So the lackeys let you bank mana in a really powerful way. I like him. I like all these designs so far. Okay. And what it also means is it's going to be super overpowered in the arena. So whenever you see future lackey cards, I think it's pretty safe to assume that they'll be good arena cards at least. And if they're a class card, probably an OP arena card. I'm kind of scared about what Evil Miscreant is going to come out as on the tier list. But we'll see. Okay, next. So we've been just introducing mechanics so far. Are there more mechanics? Kind of more mechanics. All right, let's go one more. Forbidden Words is a priest card that says it's 0 mana. It's spend all your mana, destroy a minion with that much attack or less.
We've seen Forbidden before. Forbidden was a mechanic that was previously used, and now it is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And the Forbidden mechanic was the same thing as well. It was like, it's like spend a certain amount of mana and do something, right? So, for example, Forbidden Ancient, which was your favorite for a long time, which we will see in Old Gods, was like a 1 mana 1/1 druid card that says Battlecry, spend all of your mana, gain +1/+1 for each mana spent. So you had that flexibility. Depending on how much mana you spent, it would determine how powerful the Forbidden card was. So this is similar in that you spend the amount of mana that you so choose, or it'll just take up the rest of your remaining mana, and then you can kill off a minion with that much attack, which is insane.
Yeah, it's very
really good. It's so good. Oh my gosh, why did they do this?
Yeah, there's a Forbidden Flame for Mage, which is also coming back, in which you deal that much damage for the mana that you use. So this is like that. This is from the same philosophy of like why Shadow Word Pain is 2 mana only. And a 2 mana deal 3 damage thing is probably only, that's probably a normal removal card. So they've kind of equivocated these, but the ones that target attack are always better.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's going to be a really good card for Priest. The Forbidden cards were all very good. Let's be honest here. And Priest is getting another Forbidden card back. Forbidden, I don't know, whatever it was, which is
Shaping?
like, yeah, Forbidden Shaping. Like summon a random card of that much mana, and everyone did 8. And we haven't done the analysis yet of how that's going to work out. But at least back then, 8 mana was like the way to go.
Right.
So yeah, so I don't know what it is now. But I'm sure between that card and Forbidden Words, you're going to have very, very good, like, priest flexible summoning and removal deals. Okay. I wonder how many more Forbidden cards they're going to print. This could be weird in Arena, right? Because we're getting all the old Forbidden cards back, too, and we're going to get new Forbidden cards with an offering
Everything
bonus.
is forbidden.
Yeah. It'll just be, like, super, super flexible.
It will. All right, let's talk about the other neutral card that we've seen. All right, before we get to the legendaries, how about that?
Okay.
So we have a 3-mana 3/4 neutral minion. Hey, like this is kind of what we need. With Battlecry, your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers until your next turn. So it has an effect that will very rarely be useful, but of course, people are going to have that one game where you prevent Pyroblast lethal because you play this, right? So, more importantly, 99.9% of the time, it's a 3-mana 3/4. We welcome those. That's great.
So if you're worried about too many 3/4s being in the arena, remember that Rastakhan is not going to be in the meta. So there's still going to be a decent amount of 3/4s, but it could still be pretty even. It all kind of depends on how Rise of Shadows treats it. And so far we have 1 3/4, so that's good. 3/4s are good. Mini Kobold Monk, nice solid arena card. Then we have legendaries. We either got some legendaries reviewed. We'll go through them very, very quickly, just so you know. But they're legendaries. They're not going to impact the arena that much, especially not this guy. Neutral, 7-mana 6/6. Chef Nomi, Battlecry. If your deck is empty, summon 6/6/6 Greasefire Elementals. Greasefire Elementals are 6/6 Elementals. Vanilla. You're not going to play this card. You're never going to see a Greasefire Elemental in the arena. It's just... Yep. No, moving on. Here's a cool card. Kalekegos, which is a legendary dragon mage for 10 mana, 4/12. And Battlecry, discover a spell. Your first spell each turn costs 0 mana. So that includes this spell you discover. Presumably you're not playing any other spells that turn.
Yep.
So that's pretty good, because you can have a really, really large spell that's already in your hand that you want to play with Kalekegos, which makes Kalekegos basically free.
Oh, you're actually pronouncing it correctly now. Nice.
Oh, it's just Kalekegos and you don't pronounce the C?
It's like a soft C. Kalekegos.
Okay. But yeah. Discovering spell is really nice. How much would Kalekegos be without that ability? Your first spell each turn costs 0. 4/12.
Not good, because so it's a 10 mana.
No. I mean, how much mana would it be? It would be like 9 mana, right? You get an 8 mana 8/8, and then you get an extra spell. Discover a spell for that mana for 1 more mana. That's pretty fair.
Oh yeah.
So for 1 extra mana, you get to play a totally free spell, and for each turn it lives, and it has 12 health, so in the arena, it's very likely to live on. You remember Ysera.
I remember Ysera, right. And this is potentially immediate, tempo as well, right? Because you could, if you had the Flame Strike in hand, you could just drop this and Flame Strike, or you could use this to discover the Blizzard and Flame Strike, and then that's a lot more stats that you should be putting out in 1 turn. A 4/12 plus Blizzard, or a 4/12 plus Flame Strike.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be an insanely highly rated card. This card is busted.
Really? Even at 10 mana?
I mean, you mean this is like an Omega card, you know? You wait till turn 10 or else you can't play it. But on turn 10, it's not going to actually cost 10 mana. It's going to cost 4 mana.
You know what? I sure do hope that all mages draft this when I play my hunters.
Okay, and finally, the last card that's been revealed is a Warlock card. It's called Archvillain Rapham. Rapham is one of the evil bad guys forming the super team, and this is
bad guys.
Evil bad guys, not good bad, not nice bad guys. And he was last seen in
League of Explorers.
Yeah, that one where you're like stealing his treasures or something. Either way, he didn't seem that bad in that expansion. So 7 mana, 7/8 taunt. That's pretty damn good. But he has a battle cry that says replace your hand and deck with legendary minions, which I guess is very bad in constructed, but in arena, that's not so bad. And you get a 7 mana, 7/8 taunt. So he's gonna be decent, I think.
Yeah, and who knows? Like maybe constructed will find a way to use this. I could see it, but in arena, the stats by themselves are good. 7 mana for a 7/8 taunt is a better Bog Creeper, right? Which is coming back, and Bog Creeper is going to be decent. So this is better than a Bog Creeper. The effect can be a little annoying because then you don't have your spells. You don't have your spells, and the average legendary is not great. It's just the ceiling of legendaries is crazy good.
Yeah.
But the average of all legendaries is not good.
And when you say the average of all legendaries is not good, that also, like, one thing that is true, though, is that most legendaries are higher mana cost and larger. So even though they're all generally not good, you're also weeding out your deck of a lot of, like, small cards that may have been good earlier on, but are still not good now by the time you can have, like, 7 mana and play this card. And especially...
that you needed.
Huh?
Yeah, the Bloodfin Raptor that you needed to get through your early game.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially if you're a Warlock. You'll probably have more of those small mana cards. And if you, like, miss on one of these legendary minions, you can always hero power and get another one, right? So, I can see the design in this. And in Arena, it's just going to be good. Like, there's no doubt. It's just a matter of how good it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be broken levels of good, but it's definitely going to be, like, a card you want in your deck. Like, this is better than a Yeti.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
All right. That's it for all the cards we know, and this is probably the last you'll hear of us talk about this new expansion-specific cards. We may pull out, like, 1 or 2 of each of our favorite card reveals each week, just to kind of, like, talk about it a little. But we're really going to focus in on how the new meta is going to shape out with these, with the wild rotation meta coming in after this. This is the end of our expansion talk until, what was the date again? Until April 7th, when we come back in full force with every single Rise of Shadows card analysis and tier score. So yeah,
excellent.
Before we end this, do we have a question from the GOAT?
We do. So, question from the GOAT is an old one, but very, very topical now. This comes from Ninja Yatsu. Question from 10 months ago in our subreddit. And this is before the announcement. But he asks, if you could create the best meta from several card sets from across Hearthstone's history, what would you combine? So this is like a
Prescient.
Very prophetic, very prescient, prophetic question. So what would you do? What sets would you combine?
What sets would I combine? So I don't know all the sets off the top of my head. I would definitely keep Nax in. I think Nax was, like, always supposed to be in Hearthstone. I don't even treat it as, like, an expansion. There's not a lot of cards in the set. They're all pretty vanilla, nothing, like, too crazy.
You would keep Mad Scientist in?
Yeah, well, okay. I would probably nerf that card and then keep the rest of the set in. That's the only, like, problematic card, right? Even, like,
Mad Scientist is really
problematic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd keep Nax in, and the rest of the sets, I would take the 3 sets from the year before, and all the sets from the current year, however many that have come out.
So you're saying standard, but add in Nax, but without the problematic Nax cards.
Yep. And you would add in standard because because Blizzard has decided that standard is the most balanced and professional way to play this game. So I don't know why you wouldn't play standard. It just seems like that's the best way to go about things, and it would be silly to do other things except like to have fun now and then. But you definitely wouldn't just go ahead and like make Arena do that, right? Like, so
Definitely would.
if you get to select which sets go into Arena, you would obviously select standard. And yeah, no, I would throw Nax in.
All right, sounds good. I don't know what like specifically I would combine, but I do know I thoroughly enjoyed TGT without Joust.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take away.
I was
Joust.
about to say Joust. I was like, oh, what about Joust?
No. Because here's the thing: I like the flavor of all of the cards immensely. Even stuff like tournament attendee, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flavor of that set was so good. Now there are some problematic cards in there. I do not enjoy Flame Jugglers. For some reason, they just piss me off so much more than Mad Bomber.
Why?
It makes no sense, but Flame Jugglers just get to me. Mad Bomber,
Okay.
it just rolls off of me. But Flame Juggler, oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know, Flame Juggler is a 2-mana, 2/3 neutral card, battle cry, deal 1 damage to a random enemy, period. So it could hit your face, could hit that like 5/1 minion on your side of the board. Who knows, right? But also, like the other mechanic, which was Inspire, which was a little bit problematic before. Now, as the expansions have continued on, like you have a lot of ways to keep on generating value, right? Like constant value is not a rare thing anymore. That's kind of the norm now. So I think Inspire has aged. I'm not saying it's like a great mechanic, but the effect on Arena is not as pronounced as it was when it first came out, right? Where you're just like, oh, you can just keep on generating value by hero powering. And it's like, yeah, but you do that like with so many things.
Right.
So I like the flavor of it. Joust, no joust, no joust. So I would definitely like to see TGT again, but just like you, I'm gonna tweak it a little bit and say definitely no joust. Joust is a disgusting mechanic that
It
like when
literally is a coin flip.
it literally is well, right, and in the arena you can't choose, right? You can't fill your stuff with like only big things. So it's like a tilted coin
It's a
flip.
tilted coin flip, yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
you just take that every single time. That's it.
Mm-hmm. All
So
right.
sad.
So that was a question from the GOAT, brought to you by our Patreons at patreon.com/grinandgoat. Thank you guys so much. And we're gonna end this on something that we've said we would do like the last 3 Lightforges, which is do a card good bad on Scarab Egg. And we need to do it because when I skipped it the last time, I was promptly beaten by Scarab Egg in the run that followed this podcast. So we're gonna get this out of the way, and then there's no more card good bad until the expansion actually launches, because we'll be talking about like some cards and stuff every week. Okay, Scarab Egg. It's a 2-mana O2 egg. I want to say
Yes.
2-mana O2 egg that summons 3 1/1s on Death Rattle, and it has a tier score of 72, which is not good, but you could potentially draft it sometimes.
Yeah.
And the egg philosophy used to be like 3-mana O3, but you get a 5/5 when it dies. Now you just get 3 1/1s and it's a O2. So the egg philosophy's changed a bit, but it still maintains the ability to, like, I've lost to Scarab Eggs more times than I can count. And
yeah, I mean that makes sense. Sorry, finish up your thought.
yeah, and I've played Scarab Egg to good effects a number of times in decks when it's when I have a lot of buffs, right?
Ways to interact with the board, ways to buff the board are so prevalent now that like, and your desire to clear the board is so strong now. What you lack in overall stats, you make up for an annoyingness of the 3 like 1/1s, right? 3 1/1s is a lot of times more annoying to get rid of than, let's say, just quote unquote a a 4/4 or a 5/5. So because you recognize this, and because the opponent recognizes this as well, a lot of times there's like a very unique tension that happens when you drop something like a Scarab Egg. Now, obviously, you look at the score; it's not great. It's not the same tension as when you put out a Violet Worm, but it's similar in a way in which you're just like, well, what are you gonna do about this? Um, and it's really annoying because I have left Scarab Egg up a lot of times because that is the right play, but sometimes the right play means you give up control, right? You have to give up control of something and you have to take the risk, and then that allows your opponent like an opportunity to swing back with that. So it offers that unique tension that not a lot of other cards offer, which is where its value comes from. And obviously, the downside is it does nothing when you first put it out. It does absolutely nothing. So it's unique and it is frustrating to lose against. But because of the cards that are prevalent in the arena, it has a use. It actually has a use.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 mana for 8 stats. OP. Pure OP. You do have to buff it once. But if you can, that's better than, what do you call them? Than the Haunted Creeper, right? That's coming back into the meta. So it definitely, I think Blizzard has finally come around lately with these egg cards to recognizing that they really got to be more conservative with these eggs, because the stats are the stats, and when you allow these things to attack just by buffing the attack, then they're stats. They may not be the same stats as something on a minion that can already attack, but they're not that far behind. I think Blizzard used to treat them as like negatives, right? Like, oh, you have to break the egg and then the thing comes out. That's not how Hearthstone works. That maybe should be how Hearthstone works, but from a very, very early point, they decided that's not how Hearthstone eggs were going to work. Instead, they were going to be things that you want to like actually buff and attack. And so you got to treat the stats as stats when you're balancing them. And I think they did a good job with Scarab Egg. These are going to be like, if they're balanced for constructed, then they're not going to be very powerful in arena. So no one's telling you to go out and draft Scarab Eggs, but if you do have the deck already that has the attacks, that has the buff attacks, then these are decent, right? Especially because they're 2 mana and there's not a lot of 2-drops around. All right, that's it for us. Any last words about Rise of Shadows before we end this podcast?
No, that's it. Excited to see some new cards, and we kept the podcast under an hour. Good job, us.
ROS. ROS. Oh, I love it. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about ROS and some of the new cards that come out. Not too many of them, but some of the ones we like. And more importantly, for the next episode, we will make sure to cover the meta entering into ROS. Not this meta that you're playing, but with all the wild expansions coming in and all the rotation expansions going out and all that stuff. And we will cover what each class is going to be able to do so that you have the context to interpret all these new ROS cards coming in and how they'll actually affect the classes you like or dislike. All right. Until next week then, this is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. See you guys.